embrace the magical side of life, where anything is possible and the infinite is accessible to all? Let's have a conscious conversation about what's going on in the world, in your life, and your relationship from the expanded perspective of your soul. The path to awareness begins and ends in the heart. So let's take it there, one step at a time, and learn to cultivate magic in your life every single day. In each episode, we share a collective space in which we discover the unique facets of our own magic and embody our superhuman qualities by humbly exploring how it's super simply to be human. Hosts Kai and Dell co-create a magical experience to remind you that you are magical as fuck. Now, be unleashed. This is our daily magic.
And we're live. There we go. Howdy, everyone. We've got a nice blank canvas today to talk about whatever comes up and is present for us. And I've got something that's present for me. Luckily, we've got this hour to explore what's here and to have fun. So my question is, what do you do when you see something that you want to create, but there's something that's holding you back? Allison's here. I had an experience today where I just really wanted to be in a space of creation, but I felt like there was something holding me back. And I was like, what is this? I even used like the word oppressive. And luckily, I have a husband who's a coach who had a conversation with me and walked me through the process of understanding that, one, the situation was self-created, which I totally get, but also to really pinpoint what it was about that situation that I could bring awareness to, so that whatever it was that I felt was holding me back totally dissolved. And as a matter of fact, I don't even want to use the word dissolved, but to bring awareness to something that was there allows you to be bigger than what that thing is. So all of that is fancy schmancy talk for I was in a story. And I'm curious for whoever's watching, if you find someone that, or even yourself, and you realize that there is a story, there is a situation, a scenario that's being created that is just totally fabricated, what do you do? What do you do for yourself? How do you navigate those kinds of spaces? How do you navigate those kinds of spaces?
By realizing it's all silly. So me, I'm a simple-minded person. So I like to get simply or get to simple solutions with stuff. And the only thing that's really stopping us from whatever we're looking for is ourselves. It's an illusion that it may be other people. It may be an illusion of situations, circumstances that are happening is a reason why you're not the way you want to be. But the simple thing for that is all these other stuff is outside of us. But what goes on inside with us with our thoughts and our beliefs, that's what really dictates how we move as well. So we have a belief of, like you mentioned, the oppression or not being able to get what we want, then we're not going to get what we want. And that's a finite belief that gives you finite solutions. And with the finite solutions and the finite belief, you're going to get the results that you're going to get. And the stories. I was saying this to somebody actually in a coaching conversation yesterday about stories, in which sometimes with us, and it's totally fine as well, we don't have the awareness of we're in stories because what we believe is that this is the norm because it's been happening so many times with this narrative, or maybe we've been conditioned and taught this from childhood experiences and everything else that's just a combination of molding us a certain way that we feel like it's just our normal. This is who we are. And who we are with those stories, those beliefs, those limitations, and things like that, we carry on a narrative. That's the norm. That's the complacency. That's the comfortability. And maybe you tried to go for other things and things didn't work out, and now you got these beliefs. So, having conversations like we had earlier today, we're able to bring awareness to those type of stuff, awareness to the story that we're actually in, because truth be told, we all are in our own story right now. And the question about that is, do you know what story you're in? Do you know your role? Do you know the characteristics of the character that you're playing in this narrative? And when we actually can determine that, we can actually see what do we like? What do we don't like? What things can we be able to change the narrative with? But obviously, with the stories that pop up in those narratives and those beliefs, there's parts of us that may be stuck in stories from previous experiences. Most of the time, traumatic experiences, where there's a part of us that's still stuck from a pain that maybe we never had an opportunity to fully process. We just kept it going with that energetic part of us still stuck in that one paradigm. And it shows up in moments that limits us because that part of us that's trying to protect ourselves from feeling that pain that we felt is going to step up for us. And there's numerous terminology for that part of us, the ego, the programmed mind, and all this other stuff. But really, it's a protective mechanism as well. And it's a bad rap because obviously the ego being a driving force for you, it's going to be a limited mind, a limited perspective. And also that part of us that's programmed. And a great example of that, I was mentioning before, of the chicken thing. Remember, like the chicken and the hawk?
Mm-hmm.
So not only do we have the experiences of now and our life experiences, those stuff, but also we have those embedded experiences from previous experiences from our bloodline or generation, and even from a deeper spiritual aspect, uh, a conscious type of thing as well, the fear, like back in the day of the saber-tooth tiger. And the chicken story I was going to talk about was there's a bunch of chickens that were in a coop, and some of the chickens witness other chickens being killed by a hawk. And these chickens that survived the hawk attack, they seen what actually happened to these other people or these other chickens. So these chickens program it and they got afraid and got a way of protecting themselves. So moving forward, when hawks came by, these chickens will put their head down. They would like protect themselves. So that way the hawk wasn't able to get them. But then these chickens gave birth to new chickens. And these new chickens didn't have any experiences with hawks whatsoever. But they knew when hawks came by to do the same things that the chickens gave birth to them. And the reason I'm saying that is this program part of us with these beliefs, or these finite beliefs, there are information as well that can happen from those experiences as well from before we were even here. And just think about all the conscious experiences collectively, like our souls reincarnated we may have. So we also have those type of things. But sometimes that saber-tooth tiger is what we're fearing when we think about those thoughts that come up to stop us from potentially doing something, stop us from saying something, or stops us from speaking up for ourselves, honoring our boundaries, or even go for what we want. That same program of a potential saber-tooth tiger or the illusion of the hawk coming to get us limits us as well. And it's very interesting because it's like it's a deeper aspects of ourselves and a deeper meaning behind it, but also just how the program, the ego, can actually be a good tool because it's a program. And obviously, if we program it with beliefs of things go wrong or things always go wrong for me or whatever it may be, victimhood as well, then the program is going to play the narrative and you're going to have the story role of being that in all these situations. But if that's true, then why not use a program in a way that benefits you of the endless possibilities that could potentially be available? The abundance.
True.
Hope I answered your question.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
And feel free to share, whoever's watching. I believe it's Allison and Peter. Most geniuses think in simplistic ways. Thank you. I used to take it as like a weakness for myself of being just so simple minded because like just come across people who can just say just amazing different words that I couldn't even understand. I'm like, wow. So I thought like, oh man, I guess I'm not that smart. But what I realize now is smart is infinite. So we all are smart in our own unique ways as well. And then for me, being simple minded allows me to get to simple solutions that are always accessible and be able to look at things from that type of perspective instead of like fully with my mind, like how I'm gonna figure it out. How do I figure it out? How am I gonna figure? How can I figure it out? It's like the solution's already there, and the questions: are you willing to bring your awareness to the solutions already in front of you? And the cool thing about when I have conversations with people who are talking about whatever situation or perceived problems they're going through, as they're talking through it, they say the solution simultaneously, but they just don't hear it because they're in their story. But having awareness in a conversation allows you to be able to see those type of things. And it's pretty cool because for me, it feels like the program speaks and then your soul speaks simultaneously.
Interesting. So that's kind of like saying that the ego and the soul are the same thing.
Pretty much, it's like the same thing. And here's a hypothesis as well. I want to hear. I want to hear you guys. I didn't share this yet publicly, but I definitely want to share it now. And what if all of us were just a collective of God's ego, the infinite creators? being expressed, because all of us, if we get honest, we all have like the higher side of us, the higher state, and then the lower states, the higher and the lower states, and that's like with the ego. The ego can be a driving force in the lower state, but also the ego can be very helpful in a higher state as well. Meaning, like the program having information to not touch a stove, having information to not walk out in traffic, because if I walk out in traffic, I'm probably gonna get killed, or go into a cage with a tiger, things like that. Like the ego is good. The program is good for those type of things. So that is a great state of that. Now, on the other end, let's say,
Oops.
yeah, man, we done.
Continue.
But on the other state, on let's say like an example of a lower state of it is, okay, I I'm insecure in myself. I don't have insecure. I don't have security within myself, so I'm going to force everyone around me to be my security in whatever way you need to be that is going to make me comfortable. So things like that, those type of examples of it. And I saw Allison make. So who made the ego? What if all of us made the ego? What if the ego was made because it was meant to be here? It's like it's our safety unit to help us, our safety mechanism. We use the right way, like I gave the examples for, but also it's here for each of us collectively. It's this reminds me of like a video game, like our own video game program, and our own video game program has our information from our life experience up to now, from when we first got here all the way up to now, all the experiences, all the information that we received, all the conditioning we received from whatever environment that we're in, and also this external environment as well. And the program is just for our game, but the cool thing about it, the game that we're playing is it's our unique game, but collectively it's a game altogether. I guess it's like, what's the thing they used to play, like a World of Warcraft type of thing?
MMORPG.
There we go. Whatever she just said. But a game like that, in which we're in our own game, but then collectively we're in a game together. But we all have our own different program information, our items, our attributes, and things like that that helps us to be able to play the game to the best of our capabilities, and also play the game that uniquely that's designed for us to uniquely get ourselves to that whatever is called like the higher levels, the levels, like expanded levels and things like that. But also synchronistically, we're all playing the game together. Like this conversation that's happening synchronistically, you come across it. This is actually a level in the game that we're playing together. But we're showing up in whatever character role that we are, like in those games. Everybody shows up in a space, but everybody's like in their own unique level with their own individual growth.
We're a guild.
Whatever she just said again.
Cool. Allison said earlier, once I can see it, talking about a story, I choose to shift it. Sometimes I can't see it or refuse to see it.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things too, like with the stories and the narratives of in those moments, because once she can see it, she choose not, or she chooses to shift it, and sometimes she can't see it or refuse to see it. It's if you refuse to see it, you see it. And even those moments that sometimes you can't see it, I'm pretty sure eventually you did see it.
Mm.
But then what can happen when we do see it? Like, oh man, you could beat ourselves up saying, oh, why did I didn't get it the first time? Why didn't I do this thing like that? It's like, no, you were able to see it. And the cool thing was just having a conversation with you, where you're seeing a story narrative that you're playing, and it was a story and a narrative that you played before as well, with situations and things like that, and you played the character and you was rolling through it. But then what she realized is the fact of, even though she realized she brought awareness to a story that she brought awareness to before, what happened is the story that she had is stronger than it was in previous experiences. Obviously, with these narratives that we have in the present moment, there's a lot of momentum, there's a lot of strength behind it from our experiences up to this point of us proving those stories and being the person in the story. But it's the same type of thing. When you start to shift it, the shift happens, the awareness, and you're doing actions that are starting to embody the new way that you want to be. But also, it takes repetition. It gets stronger, and also just ask yourself, like, this story that I'm aware of, is it as strong of a story as it was before with myself? And I guarantee the answer is probably no. And if the answer is yes, then there's more repetitions to be done.
Fair.
And that's the thing too of bringing that awareness that, oh wait, it's not as strong as it was before. That means I'm actually doing work. It means I'm actually improving myself. It means that I'm actually getting better. It means that I'm actually expanding. And also, it just means that that part of you is coming up for a reason. What's that reason? It wants to talk to you. It wants to be with you. That part of you that, and just think about all those moments, those shite load of moments that we had, that we took on that belief. And when moments happen that potentially poke at that part of us is going to come up and it's going to say what it believed in those moments and took it on. But the cool thing about awareness, which we all are, is you're aware that that part of you is showing up. And what can we do? I'm sure when the stories pop up, we go right into it. We take on the role of the person. Like, there's something. Yeah, something is wrong. Something is wrong with me. That type of thing, because I took on this belief from whenever I was as a child or whatever experiences, or maybe somebody told me as well through this experience to put even more of this on me. And now this part of us comes up. But we're the awareness that can be with that part of ourselves. We're the awareness that can actually be whatever that part of us needs in all those different experiences. I'm sure that we may have been told something's wrong by a parent, something's wrong by a teacher, whatever it may be. The cool thing about being infinite, which we all are, is we have the opportunity to be whatever that part of us needs in those moments and give it to ourselves. That's a great way to be able to get those repetitions in of love, unconditional love for yourself. Filling your cup up, being with yourself, but then also being able to choose a different story and a different narrative that you'd like to be with.
Peter says, I create my ego. When I'm fearful, I stay either in the future or past. In being, I spend more time in the present. Without a drink for almost 37 years, I do know what the ego is.
That's amazing.
Congrats.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. I create my ego.
Yeah. Why is it interesting for you?
Because I was thinking about it from the other end of the spectrum, which is that, like, I find during the day or during the week that, like, I'm teaching myself things, or I'm helping myself remember things. I'm reminding myself. And it's like that's what it feels like to the, you know, if I talk about like the divine essence part of me. I just never thought about it on the other end of the spectrum, to the ego part, that is being created as well.
It makes sense because, like, aren't we all creators? Or that's what we are taught to believe. But also, I'm sure a lot of us believe that to a certain extent of we are creators. It's like those affirmations, I create my reality.
Mm-hmm.
But for infinite creators, isn't infinite creators mean like the creator of everything? Even that. There's no place, there's no limit to where infinite can get into. So obviously, if you're in the side of finite, then you can say that the ego is created by everything outside of you. But infinite means everything. That infinite space is I create my ego. The infinite space is I created this conversation that's going on right now. Infinite space is I'm having a conversation with myself while I'm being in myself and hearing myself and reading comments from myself. That's a fun space to get into. After I said, I was like, ooh, about that space, like get deeper.
That's what she said. There's something interesting that you brought up earlier that I'd love to expand on.
Sure.
And that is that you said to me, well, once you have that awareness, Allison caught that. You said, oh, well, once you have that awareness, what do you want to do with it? And I said that I didn't know that awarenesses do anything. And I was just curious if you could expand on that some more, because it's still.
Mm-hmm. So the perfect thing is contemplation and action.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Richard Rohr. I love that guy. But his center in New Mexico is called Contemplation and Action. So contemplation is being with, bringing awareness, being aware, going deeper, expanding, being with what is in the moment and things like that. And then obviously by doing that and being still, you have the aha moments, those aha stuff. Action part is the doing. We're always doing, no matter what, anyway. We're being and doing simultaneously. That's what it's about, the balance. But what I meant by that is, all right, you have this new awareness. So obviously, this new awareness, you're detached from the story. You're in this expanded awareness. Now that you're there, what should you do with it? Like, okay, I am expanded being. How would I like to use expanded awareness? What would I like to create?
I got that. Where I perceived that, or where I was when I perceived what you were saying, was that you were saying that the awareness does something. And I was curious, what action does an awareness do?
What action?
Yeah, I thought that awareness was just aware.
Yeah, awareness is awareness. We are awareness. We are the beard. We are also the doer simultaneously.
So is it the awareness that's doing it?
You are awareness. Aren't you aware sometimes when you're doing stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So aren't you awareness as you're doing stuff?
Am I aware or awareness?
Isn't it both?
Is it?
Infinite. I'm in a space. And this is my beliefs. You can also like just throw it away as well. But it's like infinite is everything, right? Well, for me, infinite is everything.
Where are you getting that from?
I'm getting it from this infinite space. Infinite is everything. It's just coming through.
So are you talking about quote unquote infinite? Like that's a thing that you're talking about right now?
Infinite is everything.
Right. You're defining infinite. But are you saying that infinite is something synonymous to something else that you're talking about here?
Everything I'm saying right now, well, for me, everything I'm saying is just infinite, 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 infinite. It's just being expressed in whatever way I'm expressing it. There's a level, but there's always a level I can go up. There's always a level I can go down.
Oh, so you're coming from that you are infinite.
I'm coming from the space of infinite is everything. Obviously, I am an expression of infinite, and also I'm an infinite being. I am an infinite soul in this body. I know that. Obviously, this body of mine has some finite stuff to it, but what's behind this body of mine is infinite.
Ah, so you are infinite and you're finite.
Yeah, that's for me. If infinite is everything,
I was curious where the origin of that was because we walked into the conversation with the assumption that of where that infinite came from.
what do you mean?
All of a sudden we started talking about infinite and how infinite is everything, but we didn't establish where infinite came from. So I get that it came from that you are infinite and finite, and that's what you brought to the conversation.
I mean, never even want to go to where it come from. Just know that it's here, and it keeps expanding every moment.
Just an exploration. You got this.
In, in Shiavism, we're composed of three states: being divine, unity divine, I consciousness, and separation human is autonomy. Awakens is a tool to travel through each body. Gotta see what that is.
Because it's I could very well also walk into this conversation and walk into the conversation as I am nothing, and that would be my awareness, and then I would engage in the conversation as, oh well, we are nothing and we are everything, and I could totally expand on that from there. But I get that that's what I brought to the conversation, so that would be a creation of mine. So you created that you're infinite.
That's my storyline. And that's the character I play with it. But also, it's a story I choose to be. And like from this place, is the story that I choose to see others as well. It's not a story like I'm infinite and you're not infinite type of thing. But it's like, it's a game. My game for me is like, how can I see the infinite creator in this person? So that's the game that I play.
Do you play any other games?
No, that's pretty much enough games right there. Infinite game is a pretty expanded game.
I thought maybe the infinite game had infinite games.
Yeah, but it's for me, it's just like simple. That's a game I play, and it's a lot of game to be played. I was just certain moments of using that infinite to be expressed and be created in whatever way. But also, like for me, I'm surrendering more of connecting to that space, connecting to my soul, connecting to the essence of who I am, and then I just ask it how I would like to be expressed today, and just go with the flow. And synchronistically, a lot of cool stuff has been going down with that, doing it that way.
Awareness is a way of allowing all feelings to come, good or bad, absorb them, feel them. The outcome is always beneficial. It's acceptance, and the benefit is peace.
Exactly. Right on. Peace. And that's another thing as well. The peace thing. Obviously, if I try to look for peace in a finite thing, when the peace in the finite view doesn't happen the way that I feel that peace is, then it's going to disturb my peace. Shouts to Ludacris. But infinite unconditional peace gives me the opportunity, and that's a game as well. So when situations pop up, is asking the question, getting curious, how can I find peace in this moment? How can I discover the peace that's already here in this moment? That's even deeper. Because how can I find the peace is still like me searching, like it's outside somewhere. But bringing awareness to the peace that's already here, even in this moment, now that's the work. And that's the game. And it's a level up. Doo, doo, doo. And as you hear our son on Fortnite expressing himself, it was funny. I was just, oh, one of the friends at Bro Nights was telling me, I didn't want to say his name because I got white tell myself, but he was saying how his son does the same thing with playing Fortnite. So with the Fortnite, he gets second place a lot. So he gets second place in the tournament, and it's like 100-something people, and he like gets like upset about it. That competition, man, it's to want to win. It's a good thing too, being competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about that, like friendly competition, like still wanting to win, but then not not being like devastated if I don't. Same thing with the Vikings game. Like yeah, or was it Sunday? And I got upset, and I allowed myself to be upset because it's like that situation of the Vikings, being a Vikings fan, so I can understand now the people's frustrations with it.
Mm-hmm.
Of just a team of so much potential and not living up to potential, and not living up to potential can really upset you.
Mm-hmm.
But some people get really upset. And like me, I told you yesterday, and I was like, there's definitely get changes. I'm being aware, bringing awareness to that. So that's like fun. That was a game of playing the moment, bringing the infinite side into like this space of the Vikings game, or being a Vikings fan, bringing that part of me. And so yeah, like the team has so much potential, and they get they're being held back,
Mm-hmm.
and it's evident. Like there's documented proof from players who said it and stuff like that that they're being held back by the coaching, but also by just looking at the offense on Monday or on Sunday night. It was crazy. They had like a beautiful drive, first down or the first drive. I guess it was like a scripted one. Scored a touchdown. They're just being very aggressive and attacking, and then after that, got very conservative.
Hmm.
And it's like that's what I'm like. Isn't it common sense thing like if something is working,
Mm-hmm.
keep doing it
Mm-hmm.
until they can stop it? So that was the thing. I'm like, man, it's like it's interesting, and it's one of those things. It's perfect. It's a perfect analogy when you're trying to force something, even when something's going right, like going perfect, things are going amazing. Somehow you want to force it to be a certain way
Mm-hmm.
from conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
like force it to be this way. Oh, this is great and stuff, but this is too good. Nope. This is too good to be true. Let me bring it back into my comfort zone. Let's say like from trauma bonding or things like that. Oh wait, this relationship too good to be true. Let me do some sabotaging now.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, this opportunity to receive the abundance that I'm looking for. It's going okay so far. It's going great, but let me do so as to bring me back into lack mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't easy for a person who initially was diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. The rides I took were not not pleasant. Yeah, I bet. The cool thing about it is you made it through. And the other cooler thing about it, and this is the stuff of obviously if you're open to it too, and it's for all of us, the journeys that we're actually able to go from one side and get to the other side. I feel that we're meant to do that so that way we can be able to help guide other people who are going through similar circumstances right now, because I'm sure, like, and this speaking from my own example, when I was stuck into something, I felt like there was no way out. I didn't even know a way out. Even if somebody would tell me like, "Yo, you should do this or do that," and like I wasn't ready to hear it, and also because people just offering advice, but it's like you don't know what I'm going through, type of thing. But actually, to be able to connect with somebody who's been through what you've been through, and also they have been able to get out of what you've been through, is very powerful because it just shows you the possibility that it is possible, and that's infinite. Obviously, a finite belief for situations we feel like there's no way out. That's the finite side of us. The infinite side of us knows that there's infinite solutions to infinite problems.
Yeah.
I love your connection to the NFL with Fire the Tiger. I played with Jeff Allen in racquetball, number 37. Oh, wow. From the St. Louis Cardinal. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
So how do you discern? And I do have an answer too that I'll share, but I'll ask the question first. Is how do you discern between sabotage and just plain old action?
You say sabotage and plain old action.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't isn't sabotage an action that you take, and it's just an action. And this is going back to once again what I believe, infinite levels of things. So infinite levels of action. So obviously the actions from the energy of potential sabotage is going to get you those yield results. You're going to create that. That's the game I'm playing. I'm playing a game of sabotaging. Compare also with action. Let's say I'm doing something to create out of a place of love and expansion and things like that. It's going to yield the results of that as well. And best way for me to be able to discern is to become aware in the moment and be with. I call it into the thick of it. And then also, if what I'm doing is not yielding the results that I truly would like to create for myself, I'll take a look at that. And also, when emotions start to show up, I be with them. I don't fight them. I just get aware of them, have those conversations within, and it lets me know. But also for me, more so now, I have like this meter that will let me know.
Peter says sabotage is a reaction. Sabotage is a reaction, a negativity. Action becomes positive. It's interesting. It's like, can you walk forward towards your destination while looking off to the side? if you know where your destination is, then you get to just walk towards it.
What if in the infinite space you are already the destination? And this reminds me of when you're meditating, you get into that space, the space of beyond time, this time thing that we have here, and the space is just now, how everything's just now. So even that destination is just now. But obviously, down here we have time. So in the time, we do the aligned actions, intuitive nudges that actually gets us there in this physical world. But then the catch 22 is in the spaceless time, we're already there. And also the spaceless time, we are that, the destination.
Complete?
I'm good.
Cool. Thank you all for joining. See you next week. Stay magical.